The first letter came in a crisp white envelope with the HOA logo stamped on the top corner like some kind of royal decree. I already knew what it was before I tore it open. My gate had ruffled feathers. Dear Mr. Carson, it began, all passive-aggressive courtesy. It has come to our attention that the gate installed at the end of your driveway poses a concern regarding community access and uniformity. I laughed out loud, standing at the mailbox, the sun baking the pavement under my bare feet. Community access was a stretch. I lived at the end of a cul-de-sac in a small, gated neighborhood. The only people passing by my house were dog walkers and nosy HOA board members who apparently had too much time on their hands. My gate, a sleek, black wrought iron beauty with a keypad and automatic opener, was something I'd installed after a string of package thefts and one too many uninvited solicitors. It was well within my property line and complied with the city code. But apparently, it didn't fit the aesthetic of the community. I ignored the letter. A week later, a second one came, this time, a formal notice of non-compliance. It warned of fines, possible legal action, and a not-so-subtle suggestion that the gate was a barrier to the open and welcoming spirit of the neighborhood. If you like this story, kindly subscribe, like, and share. The irony wasn't lost on me. The entire community was surrounded by an actual gate, complete with a security guard who sometimes dozed off in the afternoons. But my gate, on my property, was suddenly a threat to unity? I penned a polite reply. Dear HOA Board, thank you for your concern. I appreciate the desire to maintain community standards. However, my gate is entirely on my property, follows all city codes, and addresses a legitimate safety concern. I respectfully decline to remove it. Warm regards, Tyler Carson. The board didn't appreciate my civility. A month later, they fined me $154, non-removal of unauthorized structure. I paid the fine, just once, then sent them a certified letter stating that any future fines would be disputed legally. That's when the real fun began. The board president, a retired insurance adjuster named Harold Kent, started showing up in front of my property during his morning walks. He'd stare at the gate, arms crossed, as if he could will it to collapse. I waved at him the first couple of times. He didn't wave back. One Saturday, I caught him photographing it. Need a headshot, Harold? I called from my porch. That angle's not your best. He grunted and walked away. At the next HOA meeting, I showed up for the first time since moving in 3 years ago. The room quieted when I entered. I wasn't exactly popular, not because I was a bad neighbor, but because I didn't participate in the book clubs, yard competitions, or potlucks. I mowed my lawn, kept my hedges neat, and minded my business. That apparently made me an outsider. When the floor opened for community concerns, Harold stood and cleared his throat. We've received multiple complaints about the non-standard gate at the Carson residence, he said, without looking at me. It obstructs visibility, disrupts neighborhood harmony, and is an eyesore. An eyesore? I asked, standing. I hired a professional installer. It's safer, cleaner, and more modern than half the fences in this neighborhood. Harold straightened. That's not the point. It doesn't conform with our design guidelines. I held up a copy of the guidelines. There is nothing in this document about driveway gates. That's because we never thought anyone would install one. Then maybe it's time to update the guidelines, not punish the first guy who does something different. Murmurs spread across the room. A few people nodded. A few frowned. Harold looked annoyed. The meeting ended without a resolution. I went home thinking that maybe, just maybe, they'd back off. Instead, the very next morning, I got another notice. I had 30 days to remove the gate or face legal action. I made a decision. Not only was I not removing the gate, I was upgrading it. I hired a local metalworker and architect. Together, we redesigned the gate into something worthy of a high-end estate. Taller, heavier, more intricate scroll work. A coat of deep charcoal paint with weatherproof sealant. I added stone pillars on either side, complete with motion-activated lights, and a new keypad system with smart access. The final touch? A small bronze plaque that read, "Private property, authorized access only." It was glorious. The installation took 2 weeks. By the end, I had transformed my driveway into something that belonged in a magazine. Delivery drivers complimented it. My neighbor across the street, Maria, brought over cookies and said it was the classiest thing on the block. Harold, of course, was livid. He sent another letter, this time with official HOA lawyer letterhead. I handed it over to my own attorney, who wrote back citing property law, municipal code, and a couple of court cases. The threats stopped. But Harold didn't. At the next HOA meeting, he tried to pass an emergency bylaw restricting gates on residential properties. But the mood had shifted. Maria and a few others backed me up, arguing that private security should be encouraged, not penalized. A vote was held. The motion failed. I could tell Harold wasn't used to losing. After the meeting, he cornered me in the parking lot. "You think you're clever," he snapped. "But rules exist for a reason. And when they make sense, I follow them," I said. "This one doesn't." He glared at me. "People like you ruin neighborhoods." "People like me?" I asked. "You mean the ones who mind their own business and pay their dues on time?" He didn't respond. Just turned and walked away. Weeks passed. The gate became a neighborhood conversation piece. Strangers stopped during evening walks to admire it. Some asked for the installer's contact. Even the security guard at the community entrance joked about getting one for himself. Eventually, the HOA sent out an updated guideline packet. And lo and behold, a new section on driveway gates. They were now allowed, provided they met safety standards and aesthetic quality. I guess mine set the bar. Harold resigned from the board 2 months later, citing personal health and time constraints. He still scowled when he walked by my place, but he stopped taking pictures. I never intended to start a movement. I just wanted to protect my home. But in standing up to the HOA's overreach, I ended up challenging something deeper, the idea that conformity equals community. Turns out, you can keep things orderly without making everyone identical. Now, when I pull into my driveway and the upgraded gate swings open with a soft hum, I smile. It's not just a gate anymore.